Welcome to Thunkworks. If you follow me on Instagram, you'll know I've got a small English wheel and a bead roller. Now they're really good tools, but at the moment they're just tucked away and I get them out when I want to use them, and it's a bit of a pain. I'd like to have them accessible a lot more easily. So I'm going to be making a frame or a stand for them both to mount onto. Try and save a bit of space, have them both on the same thing. So that's why I've got this material out. So this is some reclaimed material I've had lying around the workshop for a while. The bad thing about that is I've got to cut it all up and sort of process it to get my raw stock, but that's the price you pay. So I'm going to get the angle grinder out. I'm going to cut this down and see if I can get the lengths that I want without having to grind off, doing too much grinding on the welds. But so yeah, that's the first thing, get the grinder out and get cutting. So that's that frame all cut apart. So I've got all my lengths now. So I've got a plan I drew up the other day. So I've got an idea of what lengths I need from this. And I'm going to mark it all out now and try and avoid as best as I can any points on this tubing that have any welds. That'll save me some time having to grind it. I will have to grind some of them down. So a little tip, if you're ever fabricating something and you're making multiple pieces, so cut one to length, do your miters, actually measure it out, make sure it's accurate, and then rather than measuring out on every other piece afterwards, you can use this as your template. So I've got a piece of angle iron set up here just so I've got a square edge, so I can butt them up against each other. And I'm just going to put something flat on the back just to take their in the right position. And then all I have to do is scribe my line, and then no measuring, no fuss, it's all ready to cut. So there we go, I've got two pieces that are both the same size, ready to fit up. If you're doing this yourself, whatever saw you use, if it's miter saw, chop saw, or band saw, whatever, it's always worth doing a test cut. So when I set this my miter saw to 45 degrees on its own gauge, I cut and it was slightly off by about a degree. So I just made some adjustments, got it set perfectly. So I know I've got the cuts I want. Right, so I've got all my pieces cut now. I've got 4 mitered sections which will be legs that will extend down, and each one will have a caster mounted to the bottom. 2 cross brace pieces, and then the main uprights. I've managed to get away with quite lightly actually, so I've got some weld to grind off here and then the other end of the main legs, and I've got one more tab to cut off, and these bolts to just trim off. Other than that, yeah, I've managed to avoid the rest of the welds, which is good. So I finished the messy job of grinding. I've got all my pieces now cut. So I've got 4 of these, which will be which will each extend down, and I've got a set of casters. There we go. A set of these casters, so 4 locking casters. They lock the wheels and the stop it pivoting, so I can lock all 4, and it should, when I want to use it, it should be nice and rigid. So I'm going to lay this out. There you go, I can show you the whole frame. So that's how the frame's going to be set up. Once it's done, I'm hoping it's going to be stable enough. If it isn't, well then I'll just have to make changes later. I don't know until I try it. So yeah, I'm going to get set up for welding now. Right then, so they're both welded up. So there's a few ugly welds, in particular this one. It's the worst, but it'll be underneath so you won't really see it. And then these ones on top are pretty good. I'm pretty happy with them. There's ever so slight differences in the where the casters will be fitted here, but what I'm going to do, I'll finish the frame. So I'll completely finish the frame. So I've just got to weld in the cross pieces now, and then before I fit the casters, I'll see how it sits on the floor and just grind where I need to, just to make it sit flat and level and upright and all the rest of it. So all the joints are welded now. It's not a lot, but so the inside of the legs on all four of them, more so on the two that are over there. Yeah, so you can see on that one, so it's not quite touching the table here. It is here. It's worse on this side, but they have all four of them have done it, and that's I'm not sure where I welded first when I did these, but so when I welded one of these joints, and either the bottom or this top, the leg has pulled one way or the other. Obviously they've pulled in, so I've probably welded this joint first, but it's not a big deal. There's a very slight wobble, so I need to decide how I'm going to mount the casters. Obviously, like I said, easiest way just to weld them on. I don't know, I can't decide. Again, I could weld them on, I could do them now, and I could be done in a few minutes. I might see what steel I've got though, and see about welding them. Ooh, just had a good idea. If I get, yeah, so I've just shown you the wobble in the legs. If I do decide to weld sort of feet effectively on the bottom of the tubes for the casters to bolt to, I can set them all flat on the welding table, stand the legs on it and weld them, and that will take any rock out of the frame, or it should do. Hopefully that makes sense. I'm going to have a look and see what steel I've got to make, to cap the end of the legs off with, and then I will, yeah, depending on what I've got, I'll make a decision then. Right, so you saw me cut my 4 feet. So I've cut and drilled these. I've also ground a bit of a bevel onto them, ready for welding. Then I've got 2 square caps, which are the caps for the top of the main legs. And then I've also cut 4 pieces, which will act as the clamp for the English wheel. And these I've drilled 2 holes. One's tapped and one's a through hole. And there's opposing ones in each sort of clamp path. And then a bolt will go through from opposite directions and it'll clamp it up with equal pressure. So I'm going to get everything set up, ready to weld, weld it all up, and then getting close to finishing. Still a couple of other things to do. But there is a very small amount of rock in the frame. So what I'm going to do, so I've placed each one of the feet under the legs, and then I can get them positioned, figure out where the upright position is, get it all, so I can use my spirit level, get it positioned so it's vertical, and then tack these all in position as they are, and then all the feet will be sat nice and flat on the floor. Right, so I'm going to call this project done, at least for now. So originally I was planning to add a shelf sort of onto the back here for my bead roller to mount on. I may still do that in the future, but this is a little bit top heavy and the bead roller is quite a heavy lump. So I'm going to use it as is for a little while, and then decide if there's any changes I want to make, anything I can do to make it a bit more stable. I'm thinking about filling the legs up with sand, but I've got a few other projects on the go at the moment, and as it is, this will function fine for the English wheel. So that's it for this video. Hope you enjoyed watching it. Go ahead and leave a comment, like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.